Brant DXT grain carts have efficient unload speeds, large carrying capacities, unmatched durability, and reliable components that make sure your cart is working when you are. Lead the field with DXT grain carts from Brant. Visit your local Brant dealer for more information.
Joining me now, based at St. Louis, it's Don Close. He's Senior Animal Protein Analyst with Terrain. Don, how are you doing?
I'm good. Pleased to be with you.
Now, Don, tell us a bit about what is keeping you busy these days with Terrain. Which markets do you follow most closely?
So the markets that I personally follow are cattle, beef, and corn. And with that, I'll do some carryover into the other protein markets. And then with corn focusing primarily on feed needs.
So last week was kind of a busy one for you then.
It was a big week last week.
How did you manage the WASD report last week? How did that go?
I had the same level of shock that the trade as a whole did, but as from a very probably selfish perspective, the fact that I'm looking at grain and oil, grain specifically, but for feed need purposes, okay, finally, we're catching a break on this one, and what does it mean to the livestock side?
I also have livestock, and I will tell you that sometimes we can feel bad when corn prices drop. Somebody's got to win every once in a while. And so saving on some feed costs, that's okay in my book. So, yes, gigantic corn crop coming, apparently. But we also heard late last week, we did get word that the USDA made a series of announcements regarding screwworm and managing of screwworm, of course, in the Southern U.S. Catch us up on sort of where that's at and the impact that is having on the cattle markets, especially for the Southern U.S.
So in my view, the big component of the joint press conference with Secretary Rollins and Texas Governor Abbott was that they have given the green light to building the sterile fly production facility. What is it, Edinburgh, Texas, that has the capacity to produce as many as 3 million or 30 million flies a week. It's a sizable facility. To the best of my understanding, they're hoping to have that up within a year, and that might be a big ask.
Yeah, it is remarkable to me to have learned just how key having access to male sterile flies is in keeping screwworm at bay, keeping it out of the cattle producing regions. Of course, this has had a huge impact, though, on cattle movement from Mexico into the U.S. And walk us through, because we are several months into this now, what is the impact on cattle placements? What has that been? And looking forward, what are we anticipating in the months ahead?
So year to date, with the border was closed since Thanksgiving last year or November last year. We were open a period of time, April, May, and then closed again. And then they came with the staggered opening, and we're going to open the western inspection points, and that was open a total of 36 hours, and then closed again. The unspoken message in Friday's press conference, the fact that they listed all the things they're doing to prevent the fly from reaching the U.S., but there was not a word spoken about when they may be reopening the borders. I think that neglect or absence spoke volumes to how long we might be looking at that border being closed. So what does that mean for U.S. cattle on feed numbers? I think is shown in estimates for this coming Friday's cattle on feed report. Estimates in the TCFA or Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico feeding area are down, estimated to be down 23%.
Wow.
Placement estimates for Nebraska are estimated to be up 6%. So when you look at that kind of displacement of on feed numbers, what that means for available supplies of cattle, certainly the fourth quarter of this year, but into the first and second quarters of 26, we'll see a huge displacement between north and south. For this year to date, we've had a weekly average price spread that Nebraska has roughly had a $10 a hundred price advantage over the what we call the South Plains. As the shortage of available fed cattle supply as it is already, but intensifies in the South Plains because of the lack of those Mexican cattle, I think we'll see that price spread narrow. And I don't think it will narrow from weakness in Nebraska, but I think it will narrow from price strength in the South Plains.
Mm-hmm. Now, 20, more than 20%. So as you estimate around 23%, let's say, that's a lot of cattle to try to make up for. So I get where you're
That
saying with the strength side, but like to me, how is that going to all play out?
So to put that in a numeric perspective, and I'm working from memory here, but I think with those short periods of the border open, Mexican imports to the U.S. year to date are like 280,000 cattle. And I might be a little bit high with that, but it's just over 200,000. Typically, an average year, we will get between a million and 1.2 million Mexican cattle into the U.S. So we're down from where we should be between 750 and 800,000 cattle that will predominantly be fed in those southern feeding regions.
That's a lot of burgers, Don. It's a
It's a
lot
lot
of
of burgers.
steaks. So
Yep.
America loves beef. Canada loves beef. And we're still eating lots of it. Is this,
Yes.
like, where is it going to come from, I guess, then?
All right. This is really important. To date, we have a severe cattle shortage problem in North America. We do not have a beef shortage problem. And we have made up that difference by taking the average live weight up about 200 pounds in less than 10 years. And we have, you know, carcass weights at all-time record highs that is helping to compensate. Year to date, U.S. beef production is down just short of 4%. We've largely made that up with the escalation in imports, specifically Australia and Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the real takeaway there is while we have a very real cattle shortage, at this point, we do not have a beef shortage going to consumers.
Mm-hmm. And so, who do we tip our hat to on that one then, Don? Has that been, have we had market signals that work to do that? Has it just been economies of scale? Because 200 pounds live weight in less than 10 years, like that's a significant shift genetically. So,
Yes.
so who gets the credit for that?
That is a great question. That is a great question. I I would first answer that by just saying it clearly demonstrates the efficiency of the marketplace. And with that efficiency of the marketplace, number one, I would give credit to the genetics of the cattle we're working with today is not only the quality of that product being produced better than it's ever been, but the size of those cattle are continuously getting bigger and will continue to do so. The second area that I would give credibility for is just technology and science and the pharmaceutical or the animal health products, animal nutrition products we're working with today enable cattle feeders to make them that bigger. From there, if you look at the signal that the market's been sending, so then the disparity between what the cost of gain is with corn prices this affordable and cattle prices at all-time record highs, add to that the difficulty cattle feeders are having with what we call the swap, that the value of a fat steer they're selling today opposed to the cost of buying a feeder steer, he has every incentive under the sun to feed him as big as he can get him. So that's what's enabled it to happen, but it's amazing to sit and watch.
Mm-hmm. There's a story there, Don. We got to do that story. All right, we're going to leave it there. I think definitely you've hit on something that I think it was really one of my questions is, do we see any sort of timeline on this border reopening? But indications are not very clear on that one. So we'll keep watching that one. Don, thank you so much for joining me here on Real Ag Radio. Really appreciate it. Great to see you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
For the latest ag news, agronomic advice, and more, check out realagriculture.com and Real Ag Radio.